back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another cosplay breakdown, and this time it's going to be of my Oiran Sheryl Nome cosplay from Macross Frontier. So this breakdown is actually going to be a little different compared to the last one I did, which was Princess Choo Choo. I'll put a card up here if you want to go check it out. Because unlike that costume, I actually do have footage of me making my cosplay. Kinda. Yeah, I actually did film some portions of me making this costume, but of course then Con Crunch kicked in, so at a certain point I just completely didn't even bother trying to set up my camera, and so parts of this is going to be me narrating as well as showing progress pictures. However, other portions you will actually get to see video footage of me making the costume. So yeah, let's get started! Okay, so this is the first layer of my Sheryl Nome cosplay, and as you can see, this is definitely a little different compared to anything else I've ever made before. So yeah, as you can see, for the first time ever for me, I made underwear for my cosplay. Usually I wouldn't really go that far. I would usually just go to Victoria's Secret and buy underwear. However, I couldn't quite find the underwear that I wanted in the right color and the right size. So I decided to just go ahead and make my own. So I'm gonna start with the bra. This is a Victoria's Secret bra. It's actually from their pink line, and it is a demi bra. I don't remember the name, but basically what I did was I first covered both the side parts and the cups with this red stretch crepe material. And then I went ahead and chopped off the original straps and then replaced it with my own. There's also some elastic in here as well, just to kind of hold everything in place. So as you can see, I basically covered everything with this crepe fabric up until the clips right here. The reason why I decided not to cover it up is because obviously I need to clip myself into this, and also because it's going to be covered by the remaining layers anyway, so I didn't even bother with doing that. So next I'm going to show you guys are the panties. This is made with the same fabric as the bra, and for this one I basically just went ahead and traced some underwear that I already had in my closet, and I did alter it a little bit by making it come down a little lower so it sit lower on the hips, and also made the back portion a little higher so it wouldn't cover like the whole butt area. It would kind of come up a little bit more. I wouldn't be so hung up about it, except the figurine for this particular costume actually does show the underwear, and it is a high rising underwear. I can't believe I'm like talking about underwear on this channel. Oh my god. Okay, so finally for the underwear portion, I'm gonna talk about the tights. These are just some regular nude colored dance tights that you can pick up from any dance store, or discountdance.com is another one that you can go to. But what I ended up doing for this one was to put the garter belt on it. So I made the garter belt again out of the same crepe as the bra and panties, and then I just twisted it, and then while I was wearing these tights, I went ahead and did a couple little slip stitches on a couple of points just to anchor it down. So the reason I decided to do this method in terms of holding the garter up is for two reasons. The first being so that this garter would always stay in place no matter what I was doing. And the second was to add a little bit more modesty, just because these panties are a little low riding and they kind of cup up really high. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't particularly feel comfortable about that kind of stuff. So this sort of acted as an extra barrier to any kind of slips, as well as keeping this garter up. So that was the underwear portion. On to the next one. So the next portion is the susoyoke of this costume, and normally I would have shown this to you on this mannequin, but unfortunately while I was wearing it at Anime LA, it came undone and I completely lost it. So unfortunately I don't have it to show it with you guys, but I do have some video footage of me making it, so it's really not that hard. I could probably just explain it as is. It's basically just a rectangle with some ties attached to it, just to tie everything. And then I also put a ruffle at the bottom, which is something you're gonna see in the rest of the costume. It's a pretty common one. And for that one I used a maroon matte satin that I actually bought while I was in Hawaii. So yeah, next layer. Okay, so this is the next layer in my Sheryl Nome costume. So this is the under kimono, and if you've made a kimono before, it's pretty simple. What I love about kimono in general is that it's basically just a bunch of rectangles sewn together, so it's really easy and very beginner friendly. But in this case, it's actually a little bit more modified because it's meant to reveal a lot more than an average kimono. Like average kimono, it's very modest, it crisscross overlap, it covers everything. This one, it's like, nah, we being sexy here. So I did purposely make it a lot not as full as a normal kimono would have. I followed this tutorial on how to make one. I'll put a link in the description box below. But basically, I did deviate away from that pattern a little bit by using the base measurement for this rectangle to not be my chest, but actually my waist. So that way you get like this open, this like more open, revealing kimono. Another thing you'll notice is that towards the top of this kimono is actually all ruffled here. But then kind of as you travel downward, it does even out into the collar portion that you're used to on a kimono. So the way I did that was I first calculated from the measurement from the back of the neck here all the way to where I wanted it to end, which was right around the waist, and then multiply that by 2 and then gather the whole thing and sewed it on. I also went ahead, you can't really see it too well, but I also slip stitched this collar down a little bit just so it would stay popped up and have this like beautiful ruffly effect. The sleeves themselves are furisode sleeves. They're really dramatic furisode sleeves. And then I don't know if you can see it on here, but the bottom also has a ruffled edge similar to the susuyoke. So this is kind of the effect I was going for on the susuyoke. So that is layer number 2. Next layer. Okay, so this is the next layer in my Sheryl Nome cosplay. As you can see, there are a lot of similarities to the red layer, but there are other different aspects of it. So I'll start with what's the same. The same is basically the exact same pattern. It's the same width, the collar is exactly the same width, and the sleeves are the exact same sleeves. But there are 2 major differences. The first is in the collar. Of course, you know, there is no ruffled layer, unlike the red layer, so the collar is not ruffled, it is just a nice, straight, regular kimono collar. And unlike this red one here kind of stops at a certain point. This collar goes all the way down to the end. So there's no little stop there, it goes all the way down to the end. And speaking of the end, that is the other major difference in this layer. So the purple layer here, it goes all the way down to the floor. One thing I probably forgot to mention with the red one is that both the red and purple layers, they actually do have ties. So they have these little hemo ties that are attached to the collars. They're just machine stitched on. I tried hand stitching it, but the seams came apart pretty quickly, so I just machine stitched it on because it doesn't really matter. It's gonna get covered up by the OB anyway. Which, speaking of which, okay, so this is the OB that goes with this costume. As you can see though, it is not a actual OB, it is a belt that is manipulated to look like a fully tied in OB. Yeah, because actually tying OB for real is a bit of an art form, which I do not possess, so I just went ahead and cheated. So the way it goes is that there are these little hooks. So there are these little hook and eyes on this back portion as well as right here that go around my waist, so I just go ahead and tighten it around my waist. Yeah, this mannequin doesn't quite fit me too well, so this one is gonna have to kind of hang loose for a bit. But it does fit me while I'm wearing it for real, so just pretend it fits. And then I also have this little snap with this bow here, and that gets hooks into here. So the base of this obi is a navy gabardine fabric with interfacing in it. And these red portions right here are the exact same satin as the red portions of the kimono. So I just basically ran that through a bias tape maker and made these little strips. And then this lace is the exact same lace. It's just on the bottom portion. This is kind of how it is supposed to be. I think it's like 3 inches wide when I bought it. So it's a little trimmed down for both of them, but it's the exact same lace. So for this one, I just trimmed it up a little bit. But this one, I actually sewed 2 rows of it together to make this really smaller lace, and then sewed this strip right across it. So that's kind of the base of it. So the next portion is this little ornament right here. I made this myself using, I believe, it was black warbler. So I made this with black warbler and craft foam. And then I made my own little tassel using embroidery floss. And I just basically primed it, painted it, and hand stitched it onto the obi with a bunch of stitching. This portion here and this portion here is kind of the thing I'm stupidly proud of because there was so much detail work that went into this that I'm kind of happy. So the first step is the bow. So this bow is again made out of the same gabardine, and it's tied together with some navy bias tape because I couldn't be bothered to make my own loops. I also use a extra thick interfacing for this one because I really wanted this thing to be stiff. And for these like green detail, what I first did was I first mapped it out with chalk all over the bow, and then I just basically top stitched all of this green ribbon down. I manipulated it into the corners and stitched it all down. So that was very interesting to do, I'll say that. And I basically did the same thing for here. And then, to kind of add a little bit more of an interesting detail, I actually went ahead and learned how to do ribbon embroidery and ribbon embroidered all of these pink flowers. So both on the bow and on this flap. So this took a long time, let me tell you that. I didn't realize for ribbon embroidery you want a fabric that doesn't have a really tight weave in it, because boy, it was really hard to push this needle through, especially for the ones like this because it was also heavily interfaced. So I was just like trying to yank it through, and I even had to use my pliers to kind of pull the needle through at certain points. It definitely kind of like effed up my fingers a bit, but it turned out beautiful. It gives this really lovely like almost 3D flower effect, which I think works really well considering she's the galactic fairy. So those are all the clothes for this costume. On to everything else. Okay, so I want to talk about next is the heels. So I bought some base heels from Sears, and then it came with some straps earlier, so I went ahead and just chopped those off. And then I went ahead and I spray painted the heel black, and then used Angela's letter paint to paint the sole black because they originally were not that color. And then what I ended up doing was I first created a felt base that sort of mimicked the top, so this is felt. And then after that, I went ahead and created these little the slipper straps using velvet and polyfill. And then I went ahead and just cut some holes into the fabric and then just sewed it on. You can kind of sort of see it here. But yeah, I went ahead and did it like that. I also went ahead and put in an elastic case on there just to add some extra support when I put my foot in. And then I went ahead and just fabric glued the felt to here and chopped off the excess edges. So it kind of looks like this when I put it on. I of course wore Tommy socks with this, but it sort of goes like this. It just looks like a regular thing. So the thing with these though is that this portion is not very good. It's not extremely supportive. Like, I cannot wear these heels for like long-term wear. I can only wear them for like short spurts. So like in photos or in like very, very minimal walking. When I was wandering around the convention, I actually switched out to my Didicchio Zori instead. And yeah, and I only wore these for judging, the masquerade itself, and then like and then a photo shoot. That's pretty much it. Because if I wore this for too long, not only would I have difficulty walking, the friction from my toes and whatnot actually was starting to kind of like break apart this portion. So I just didn't want to risk it. So I wore this for minimal use only. Okay, so next I just want to kind of combine these two together since they're pretty similar, but these are just like the basic small accessories and props that go with Sheryl. So these three bangles, I just bought these on eBay. I really did nothing to them. They're literally just bangles that I bought off of eBay. And then for her pipe, I actually went ahead and bought a replica pipe. I think you could actually use this pipe for real. I personally don't because I don't smoke, but I bought this on Amazon. And then what I went ahead is I masked off the gold sections, and then I just spray painted this portion purple. So really nothing to it, really. This was just mainly for props. I just wanted to show that off because that's the final tiny little details before we get into the monster. That is the wig. I'm gonna show you the wig, which was arguably, well, actually not arguably, undoubtedly the hardest part about this whole cosplay. So I went ahead and started out with a platinum blonde wig from Art of Wigs. I will put the actual style here. I went ahead and bought light pink wefts, split sections up so I would like pin back parts of it, and then would sew weft tracks, these pink weft tracks into the wig to get this like, you know, two-tone effect. It looked really nicely. I know other techniques people have done is splice wigs, but I didn't really feel like purchasing another wig because I was trying to be cheap with this cosplay. Okay, so after I put all the wefts in and kind of give it a bit of a trim, I went ahead and then I braided all the hair, and I just put the hair in sections and braided it all down. And then I went ahead and dunked it in boiling water just to heat it up, and then I let it dry. And then once it was all dried down, I went ahead and took out all the braids, and it left me with these beautiful mermaid curls. So the next thing I want to show is the hair piece I put on top of it. So this contains the hair roll, the comb, and then all the little sticks that stick out of the wig. So this is all mounted onto a foam, like a half of a foam ball that I cut in half with a kitchen knife. And then I put a felt base, and in it, I don't know if you can see it too well, but there is a snap right there. And then it's in this base that I went ahead and glued / stuck all these little pieces. So first up is these silver pieces. These are made out of Warbler and craft foam. Originally I was just trying to stab it in, but it wasn't like pointy enough. So I added some flour wire into it with some hot glue and Wonderflex. I don't know if you can really see it too well. You can kind of sort of see it here, but not really. I primed it and painted it with a silver spray paint. These gold ones actually are, you're not gonna believe this, paintbrushes. So I actually sawed the brush portion off the paintbrush, which left me with these little sticks. And then I went ahead and painted it gold. And then this little comb, it's like a comb I bought off of eBay, and then I spray painted it purple. So after that, I took leftover wefts that I had, both blonde and pink. You'll see where I got the blonde wefts, why I needed blonde wefts in a little bit, but I took wefts like this, and then I just glued it over this foam ball, and then kind of stuck it through the back of the comb. And then what it is there's a matching snap on the top of this wig. So all I have to do is just go ahead and snap it in. See if I can do it. There we go. And it'll stay like this. Now next up is the thing that pretty much made it such a big headache for me, was this hair piece. So this is my first time doing like a wig piece, like multiple wig pieces. So this is why this whole wig was like a big fat challenge for me. So first thing I did was I created a base using craft foam, and then I layered it with some batting. I wrapped wefts all throughout the wig. So I alternated between the pink and the blonde just to kind of give this two-tone effect. I think I probably should have layered it a little bit better. I just don't think it worked out as nicely as what I've liked, but I think it turned out pretty good for a first time try. I went ahead and did my own little Chinese knotting. I still had to kind of glue things in place just to make it look a little bit closer to the accuracy, but it turned out pretty well for what I had to do. I'll post a link to the tutorial in the description below. It's the same one I used for my first Shido cosplay from way back in the day. And attached to that is tassels that I made using embroidery floss. And then I did more kanzashi flowers, so if you recall correctly, I did do that for Nichio. I basically took that into a high gear. Again, I'll post links to the tutorial I used. But basically I did the same thing, a similar thing to Nichio, it's just I used some more I tried to make more pointier petals, and then I layered it and glued these little buttons into it. And then on top, once all of that was done, I went ahead and then put these two clips in that I secured using Wonderflex and a hell of a lot of hot glue. And in all honesty, I probably should have come up with a better mechanism to attach the wig because I actually had to get help in order to do this. I don't even think I can do it on this wig because I think it's gonna fall back. But basically, it should look something like this when it's all done. And then the last part of this wig are these little hair ornaments. There are two of them. So it's again the same type of kanzashi as the one on the bigger wig piece. It's just I only did one layer of petals instead of 3. And instead of the buttons that I had, I went ahead and used some leftover rhinestones from my Princess Tutu cosplay and as little centerpieces. And then attached to that are these strings of beads. So these are silver beads I got in the LA Fashion District. And then at the very bottom are these little star clips, are these little star pendants, because I thought that would fit perfectly for Sheryl. She's a galactic fairy after all. I used beading wire, so this is the actual beading wire I used. So first thing first was I tied the pendant to secure the edge, and then I strung all these beads on to it, and then I tied them all together, and then tied them to the clip, and then reinforced it with a hell of a lot of hot glue. All these flowers have a felt base and are glued together with hot glue, and then they just stick in like this. And then they just stick in sort of like this. As you can see, this wig is pretty back heavy, so when I actually wore this, I actually had to wear an extra headband on top of my wig cap and then pin the living hell out of this wig because it was just so back heavy. It also gave me a massive headache while I was wearing it. So this is kind of the final effect of what it should look like. And yeah, I'm pretty proud of how this turned out in all honesty. Like, I saw the photos and it looked really amazing, but just, yeah, this was a hell of a lot of work. And props to all the wig stylists who could do stuff like this on the rig, because I cannot. This was so much work. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any other questions about how I made Sheryl, please feel free to tell me in the comments below. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see more cosplay content from me, or if you want to see me dance, please feel free to subscribe to my dance channel. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye!